Readers, today is such an important day for you. You are going to learn how to become your own reading coach. So, blow that whistle and get yourself in gear for a training session on how to do that. You know, your reading teachers are just not always going to be with you, and we already are not with you every time you pick up a book. So, if you want to become a much better reader, you've got to learn how to hold yourself accountable. Enter today's lesson. Here are the steps for how to become your own reading coach. First, we need to identify what your level of skill is, right? We have to know where we are before we can figure out how to get somewhere else. Then we're going to look at the next level of skills that we want to achieve. Find the areas of needed improvement. That means, what is the difference between where I'm at now and where I would like to be? Figuring out the difference so I can, number 4, practice those areas. What am I missing now that I need to practice before I can get better at something? So you might be wondering, I don't even know what level of skill I'm at. I don't even know how to answer that question. Hello, learning progression. Since we've been working in nonfiction, I decided to pull what I think is a really maybe the most important skill when you're reading nonfiction, and that is to be able to identify the main idea and supporting details. And the reason I think that is so important is that once you can do those things, you can give someone an entire summary of what you've just learned. So let's take a look at just what maybe our first level is right here. If you read a nonfiction text and you can say the big topic, what the big topic is, then great, level 1. And if you can give some information about that main topic, great. As we move to level 2, we expand a little bit more. We ask ourselves, okay, I'm trying to find what the main idea is. I'm going to use my knowledge of nonfiction text structure to see if maybe there's a pop-out sentence. And instead of just a word for the main idea, I'm going to try to elaborate a little bit more. Maybe it's not just 1 or 2 words. Maybe it's a whole sentence. And then I'm going to choose some supporting details. And I'm going to try my best to leave out anything that I feel like is unimportant or does not match what my main idea or big topic is. Okay, it's level 2. Let's move to level 3. Now what I need to do is on my own, pause every now and then to see what the main idea is in that section. And maybe I'm going to need to revise that main idea, right? I'm going to say, okay, I thought the main idea was this in the beginning of my chapter, but as I'm getting more information, I need to revise it because that main idea no longer matches everything we're talking about in this chapter. Then I'm going to come up with some details that match that. Maybe I'm going to look for some nonfiction text structure that has diagrams or labels or bold words or subheadings that help me figure out what kinds of details I need and how they match my main idea. Last, I need to make sure that nothing I include in my summary is based only on my opinions. Everything needs to be evidence from the text. So our first job is to identify where we fall in these levels, 1, 2, or 3. And now that you know what they mean, you might be thinking, okay, you know what? I'm a 1. My box is just a couple of words and my bullets are just a couple of words. Or maybe you're a level 2 where you're using the text structure and your main idea is an entire pop-out sentence, and your details all match your main idea. None of those bonus facts that the author gives us that give us more information but don't really have anything to do with the main idea, you know not to include them in your boxes and bullets. Or maybe you are starting with the main idea, revising it as you gain more information, using all of the text features to come up with your details, and leaving your own ideas and opinions out of your summary. Let's take a look, maybe practice a little bit of this. And before we do, why don't we identify what we would need to do to move from one level to the next. Let me show you what I noticed. As I read a level 1 and went to a level 2, I noticed that in order to achieve level 2 skills, I need to make sure my main idea is more than one word and that it's carefully chosen, meaning it matches everything in that part of the text. I need to make sure my supporting details also align with the main idea that I've chosen, and I need to leave out any unimportant facts that don't match my main idea. If I want to level up even from a level 2, now on my own, stop, connect my details to the main idea, maybe revise it if I can't connect them, use every piece of nonfiction text structure, and no personal opinions. So at this point, we've done step 1 and step 2. We've identified what kinds of skills we're going to need to level up in our main idea and supporting details. Now let's see how a friend did. Hopefully this looks familiar to you because this is a part of our book. It's a passage from our nonfiction book called Gorillas. And I'm going to read it just to kind of rev up your mind, and then we'll take a look at the main idea and details in the form of boxes and bullets off to the side and see where we think this reader may be in their learning progression, and then also see if maybe we can be their reading coach and improve their skills. Forest habitats. Gorillas do well in tropical and subtropical forest habitats. A tropical forest is a forest of tall trees that grows where the temperature is warm all year round. Subtropical forests also have tall trees, but they are a little further from the equator and not quite as warm. Because of their higher elevation in their habitat, mountain gorillas experience cooler temperatures than other gorilla subspecies, especially at night. The amount of rain determines the kinds of plants that grow in forest habitats. Some forests get a lot of rain, more than 100 inches a year. These forests are called rainforests. Gorillas that live in rainforests benefit from the many leafy plants that grow where water is plentiful. Okay, now that I know what the text is about, let's take a look at the summary. Forest habitats is the main idea, and then the details are tropical forests, subtropical forests, and rainforests. Now, if we take just a moment, let's look and see maybe where we think that reader falls in our levels. I'm going to pause. See if maybe you can find the answer before I give it to you. Well, I'll tell you what I think. I think that they're probably hanging out right in this area. Their big topic is different forest habitats, and their details were the types of forest where gorillas live. Let's see how we can level them up. So, what I want to review really quickly before we model what it would be like to level them up is to make sure that I'm looking at the skills I need to do that. So I need to make sure my main idea is more than a word. I need to make sure my details match the main idea. And I need to leave out any facts that don't have anything to do with the main idea. I like to call those bonus facts. Extra facts that the author gives me that don't really have anything to do with the main idea. So the first thing I want to do is maybe add a little bit more to my box. Forest habitats are a good fit for gorillas to survive. Now, I'm going to look back to the text and see if I can find a little bit more information about maybe why tropical forests are good survival fits for them, because it says they do well in them. It has tall trees with warm temperatures. Tropical forests have tall trees and warm temperatures for gorillas. Now, I'm going to find some extra information about subtropical forests, maybe connecting it to how they're a good fit for gorillas. Subtropical forests also have tall trees, but they're further from the equator and not as warm. Because of the higher elevation, mountain gorillas experience cooler temperatures. So, subtropical forests also have tall trees and cooler temperatures for gorillas. Last but not least, we've got our rainforest. Let me find some extra information about rainforests. Rainforests produce many leafy plants for gorillas to eat. Let's turn this into my boxes and bullet format. And you can see already how much more information I'm able to give someone else who I'm summarizing the text for. You can see that nothing is just one-word answers. All of my details are connected to my main idea. And last but not least, I left out information that is interesting, but not connected necessarily to how gorillas survive in forests, such as how much rain they get. That's great information, but I don't need to know that rainforests are a good fit because of their leafy plants. So you are going to get a chance to try this on your own with another familiar nonfiction text, Our Frogs and Toads. Head to your Pear Deck to do that